Hello, everyone, Darks here, and today I'll be reviewing the Star Wars prequels. Star Wars prequels were the Star Wars films I probably watched the most as a kid, and thought they were great Star Wars films and a great way to continue the series after the original trilogy. Afterwards, I held a negative opinion on the prequels due to many reasons, including Hayden Christensen's performance as Anakin Skywalker, but I decided to refresh my opinion on the prequels and watch the films again. And I feel like when I did that, I had a much more positive opinion on the films. I enjoyed the entire trilogy, even the films I found to be very flawed. That is why I'm reviewing the Star Wars prequels for this video, because I recently rewatched the Star Wars prequels. So let's begin with The Phantom Menace. The exposition is a bit much for a film, and the plot is hard to follow, admittedly. And the entire film is exposition, plans, and plans. And I know that every Star Wars film is basically just plans, but I have more of a variety than that. That is a flaw, I'll have to say, for the Star Wars prequels. But I do have to say, I very much enjoyed Phantom Menace. I think it might be the best Star Wars prequel, one of the best. Specifically, the performances were great, especially Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn, definitely one of my favorite Jedis. And of course, the best part of the prequels, Ewan McGregor as, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Definitely a highlight of the series, and the thing that really elevates the series and is the best thing about it is his performance. Obviously the best actor of these films, because no offense, all the other actors aren't doing as good of a job in the film and in prequel trilogy. Specifically, found Padme's actress Natalie Portman to be a very weak actress who doesn't have a lot of range as an actress. So I feel like, despite that flaw, Ewan McGregor's performance in the trilogy made up for a lot of the flaws of prequels. Another thing I have to enjoy is the pace. It can occasionally be slow, but overall it's very fast-paced and very action-packed, and I enjoyed all the lightsaber fights. They're great. And another thing I gotta praise, why'd I forget him? Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious, whatever you want to call him, Lord Sidious, those are all his names. Great in the film, obviously, like in every film he's in. And Darth Maul, of course, who's one of my favorite Star Wars villains of all time. He's just great. Every one of the prequels has a good side villain, as I'll call them. Because here's the thing, Palpatine is the main villain of the prequels, but he has a side villain. There's a side villain. Look, in A Phantom Menace, you have Darth Maul. In the Clone Wars, you have Jango Fett, which, amazing villain, by the way. And in Revenge of the Sith, you have General Grievous. But he's the main villain, Palpatine is. And Palpatine is great in film, especially great at concealing his identity, because most Jedi think that he's part of them, but the whole time he's a Sith. He's the Sith Lord. Yeah, that's spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it, but come on, who hasn't seen these films already? And of course, the music is amazing, as it is in every Star Wars film. And I feel like Qui-Gon Jinn was the most developed character. I felt that he had a lot of emotional depth as a character and complexity to his character. I thought there was great characterization for his character. And he's the best character of Phantom Menace, if I probably have said it before, but yeah. And I really like the story of Anakin, obviously, beginning with this film. And the pod racing scenes are great. And I enjoy pretty much a lot of things about film. As I said, the plot is hard to follow, exposition is bad. And the dialogue, that's the issues, is the dialogue, the exposition. The story is a bit incomprehensible, but everything else I really enjoyed. So now, with that, I'll say what I rate the film. And I rate the film, or rank, whatever you want to call it, I'll give it a 8 out of 10. So now, we will go to Attack of the Clones. Believe it or not, this is my least favorite Star Wars film. And my least favorite film of the prequels. Not my least favorite Star Wars film. My least favorite Star Wars film would be The Force Awakens. Any of the new films are my least favorite. But this film, Attack of the Clones, is my least favorite of the prequels. Yes, it has a lot of things going for it. Jango Fett, who's obviously Father Boba Fett. The action sequences, Count Dooku's in it. Like, there's a lot to like. You got two villains. You get Count Dooku, you get Jango Fett. There's all of awesome action sequences, all of memorable moments, great set pieces. But what really killed the film for me was Anakin Skywalker's characterization. I can't blame the actor who played him. because it's strictly the writing that ruined him. He is not very likable. Most film, he just freaks out, overreacting on his emotions. That you can see that every character around him feels uncomfortable by it. And I guess you could say that's a hint of his, coming into the dark side. But Anakin Skywalker is a Jedi at first. And he's supposed to be a likable character, but it's hard to like him the way he acts. Very immature, and it can be hard to like him due to the brash decisions he makes, which is why Obi-Wan and him butt heads, which I understand, obviously. It was just hard to like Anakin film and hard to root for him. Because I just couldn't. I felt like his characterization was lacking. They made him too just aggressive and not likable. Emotional depth wasn't really there. Wasn't really a fan of how they depicted Anakin Skywalker. He felt lifeless in a way. Emotionless. Always just doing things if it benefited him. Making him a very selfish character. And I didn't like that. And it really sucks because I thought he was great in Phantom Menace. And I felt like this film just ruined him. And of course, what else ruined him? Well, what ruined this film for me was the romance scenes between him and Padme. Because how poorly written they are and just awkward, it really ruined it for me. And it really just messed up the pacing of film and just made it really slow paced. Like, film shouldn't be as long as it is. And there's a lot of padding in there, and that's why. And apart from those criticisms, I'll say what I like about it. Jango Fett is an amazing villain, and honestly, performances are great. The action sequences, set pieces, I've said all that. That's what I like about film. But I felt like, for a lot of reasons, it was just lacking in so many ways. So that's why it's my least favorite, and I'll have to give it a 6 out of 10. Which is, the lowest rating I'll be giving a prequel. So now we're going to move on to Revenge of the Sith. Let me just say, I just saw Revenge of the Sith like an hour ago or something, and it has to be my favorite Star Wars prequel and probably one of my favorite Star Wars films. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I really did. It fixed so much problems I had with Attack of the Clones. Characterization is so much better. His character is more regretful of his actions. He shows remorse, he shows emotion, and it's easier to root for him and like him. Actually, while watching, it felt bad for him that he, succumbs to the dark side. And I gotta give it to Hayden Christensen for portraying so much complex emotions for a character, or just a lot of variety in his characterization. The acting was a lot better for Hayden Christensen, before Anakin Skywalker. And the action sequences are amazing. This film keeps it fast-paced. It has an amazing pace. It keeps it coming with action pieces, set pieces. It's great. And there's a lot of emotional depth in the story. It's very bleak and depressing, especially at the end where, nearly every Jedi has been killed. Spoiler alert again. And it's really sad how he's easily manipulated by Darth Sidious. Ewan McGregor continues to be amazing as Obi-Wan Kenobi, just cementing him as one of the greatest Star Wars characters, and probably the best Star Wars character. Heck, I think I even like him better than Luke Skywalker. I had my issues with General Grievous. I don't know why he's coughing the whole film. That was a strange choice. The battles between Obi-Wan Kenobi and General Grievous, amazing scenes, and it was just, that vehicle General Grievous goes in, and then he's running out of the area away from Obi-Wan Kenobi as he's on this giant animal. That was great. That's a thing Star Wars, I feel like it does best. Action scenes, set pieces. I'm sure that even in new films, which I'm not a fan of, probably have good set pieces. I feel like the story was amazing. It occasionally felt overlong and overcomplicated, but the story is easy to follow, and it's very interesting seeing everything collapse and just go to the dark side, the Sith. I think the whole time the Jedis are going to just take control of the situation, but the Siths just control everything afterwards, and that really explains A New Hope, where, all the Sith are in charge now. I've probably said this before, but the story was amazing in film. It was great, a lot of twists and turns, and it always stayed interesting. And there's never a time where a film felt boring or if there were filler scenes. Never felt like there was padding. It was amazing the whole time through, and I really loved it. I don't really have that much criticisms of the film. My own criticism being General Grievous is coughing, and some of the dialogue is bad. Dialogue is a huge improvement on Attack on, so I'll have to give it that. And after all the things I've praised about film, what do I have to say? I give it a 9 out of 10. It's a nearly perfect film. I feel like, for the most part, the prequels are great films. I know it's a controversial opinion. I know a lot of people hate films, but I think they're just very enjoyable films. Just did a great job continuing the Star Wars series. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.